Okay, how did all this get started with the Dazz Band? Actually, the concept in your brain. I know it's your brainchild. I've always wanted to ask you, because I'm a big fan, how did you actually come up with the whole concept for the band and the direction of the band?
Well, interesting enough, I was a member of a band. I played in clubs since I was 18 years old, and with various guys, jazz guys in Cleveland. Eddie Backus, who I love, he's an organist, blind organist, is really responsible for a lot of things I do. I'm able to do musically. My father played tenor, saxophone as well. He used to have me in clubs with him. And the concept was I was one of those kind of guys that was never going to play funk, ever. R&B and other stuff. It was jazz or I'm not going to play anything. And I heard this band in Cleveland, Ohio, on one of the popular streets in Cleveland on Euclid Avenue at this place called The Cave, and it was Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And when I saw the musicianship, heard the musicianship of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, I said, and they get commercial, I said, now you can do that without feeling like you're selling out, you know what I mean? And then the groups like Chicago, Earth, Wind and Fire, had the musicianship, high-level musicianship. So I was in a band called the Bell Telefunk, and we had 4 horns. It was a pretty big band, 10 members. I was just a member of that band, and that band disbanded. And I continued along with a couple of guys, and we just shortened the name to Telefunk, and then they quit and just left me, and then I started auditioning for a band, and that's when I met Ike Wiley, who's drummer, and then Mike Calhoun, guitarist. They were in a band together, and they came to the audition, and I liked the way they played. They were young, seemingly enthusiastic, ambitious. And then his brother came, Mike Wiley, on bass. So we had like just really a 4-piece band, and played fusion. So it went from there to they had never played in a club before, and we went in.
Are we talking about the early 70s or late 60s?
We're talking the late 70s.
Okay.
And there was a age difference between us. You know what I'm saying? I was 8 to 9 years old or 10 years older than those guys, and we sat in this club, and everybody said, "Wow, those guys can play. Who these guys?" Blah blah blah. So word started getting around in Cleveland. Then we just was showing me in your home here that Jazz Crusaders, which was one of my favorite guys, groups, Wilton Felder and Wayne, they were all great players. And we opened up for them.
Oh, wow, you opened up for the Jazz Crusaders?
We opened for the Jazz Crusaders. This is after we had rehearsed for forever with learning different songs and whatnot, but they were all jazz fusion songs. And then this guy, Ed Myers, who I grew up with, he stayed a door away from me. He was a trombonist. And he was with the Whispers. And he came into town. And he said, "Wow, Bobby, I like this. I'm gonna come back. Could I join your band?" I said, "Yeah, of course, man. Come on back." Boom, boom, boom. So the band started growing. So it was 2 horns, just 5 of us, and then we got a keyboard player. Then it was 6 of us. Then my other friend played saxophone. Wayne Preston came. He joined the band. And this other kid that really couldn't play when I first met him, but he went away to Florida and came back on trumpet. And he was smoking. A guy named Les Taylor. So the band kind of went from there to that 4-piece fusion outfit to a big band.
Okay.
Sounded like Earth, Wind and Fire. Just fishing and just doing cover songs because we were playing clubs. So my friend Ray Calabrese, who I went to school with, worked for this place called Progress Records, and he heard about me through this guy. This is a weird story. Carmen Ciccolone, who played sax. And Carmen broke his nose, and I took Carmen's place with this band. And I told Carmen, "Hey, I got this band you got to check out." But when Carmen checked the band out, I said, "You need to let Ray see this band." Then Ray came up to the bowling alley where we were rehearsing. And he said, "Wow, blah, blah, blah." And then he said, "Do you have any original material?" And I lied and said, "Yeah." And anyway. And then, which means we had to get busy and get some original material, So, we went and cut 9 songs and gave it to him and this guy from 20th Century named Joe Lewis that used to come to this Progress Record distributorship where Ray worked, and he also dealt with marketing records at radio and stuff. Anyway, and Ray gave him this tape. They took it back and they said, "Maybe we want to check these guys out." So they sent some people out. I set up a showcase at this place called Syrah House, which was Harris spelled backwards. The guy's name was Bobby Harris that owned the club.
Oh, wow.
And I played there.
It was destiny.
I had played there forever.
Yeah,
and we pretty much Rick Sidoti, came from 20th Century. Tony Camillo, who did The Last Train at Georgia.
Wait a minute, Tony Camillo, is that the dude who did Bazooka?
He did
The
Bazooka,
Dying?
he
Oh
did-
my!
he did- no, he did Gladys Knight's Last.
Okay.
But
But he's a well-known producer. I know who you're
yeah,
talking
he's well known.
about.
He's
I know.
out of Jersey.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they said, okay, we want you guys at 20th Century. They pretty much confirmed us having a deal without paper in the back of the room at Sarah House.
Man, I'm just tripping because if you're dealing with Tony Camillo,
Yeah.
he was dealing with another one of my favorite groups, the Five Stair Steps. man.
Hey,
And
well,
I
that's him.
just-
That's the guy.
Yeah, oh man, that means y'all were playing. That means y'all were playing on the real level.
It was really funny because he walked up, and fans, excuse my seemingly arrogance, but it's not. He walked up to me, and because he walked up while we were playing at the club, he walked up to each guy, kind of listened to what they were playing and stuff, and he went up to this keyboard player, and we had, and I mean, the guy, he wasn't up to par, but he was a nice guy and doing the parts,
Right.
and he says, and after the thing, he says, everybody's great, lose the keyboard player.
Wow.
So we went to LA without a keyboard player.
Wow. Now, how did you end up coming to 20th Century Fox, the first album would be, let's see, bear with me, you guys. It will be,
Yeah.
I believe, is it this one here?
That's the one. That's when we
The
couldn't
Kinsman
afford
Dance?
shirts, so we had no. No, this is really funny. This guy, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. It's on here somewhere. He did Fleetwood Mac,
Oh, wow.
Rumors.
Okay.
And that black and white, remember
Yeah.
that? So, and I loved the look of that, and that's how we got this guy here. And it got so hot in the studio because he likes to get all loose and everything. And we were drinking wine. It got so hot. I said, "Man, it's hot," And I took my shirt off. He says, "Why don't you all just take your shirt off?" And then he started shooting us. So that's how that came out. That was an accident.
Wow. It was a great accident. Great accident. Wow. Now, from there, Philip Bailey was your first producer, was he?
Philip Bailey and Ralph Johnson, exactly.
Okay.
Earth, Wind and Fire.
Okay.
No, actually, our first producer was Marvin Gaye, and we weren't able to finish the record with Marvin because Marvin got sick.
Oh, wow.
And it was an interesting period because we were at the Holiday Inn on Highland Avenue, first time in L.A. The whole nine. Left Cleveland with the Purple Go guys, bring it back. And we worked about 2 or 3 weeks with Marvin, and Marvin got sick. And I remember Harvey Cooper. We were at 20th Century, and he called. He said, "Hey, I want to speak to Bobby about something." And then I remember the time of management, we was going with office with us, and he said, "No manager, just him." And he closed the door. Right. And Harvey Cooper was, short. He jumped up on his desk. He said, clapped his hands. "Well, here's what's happening. This is how the music business works. You got X amount of dollars in your budget. You got 12 rooms, and running up a bill, and 2 station wagons rented, running up a bill, and it's your money, but you don't have a producer. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna send you guys back home until we figure out, who your next producer is gonna be." And I looked at him. I said, "Mr. Cooper, the way we left Cleveland, first band being signed out of there to a major label, we can't go back without a record. So we're gonna have to figure out something."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, what do you say?" I said, "We got to find somebody, And so we got to throwing these names around, and Philip Bailey was working on Stephanie Mills, who was on the label at that time.
Okay.
And Earth, Wind and Fire, and they were one of my favorite bands. I said, "Well, what about Philip?" And from there, he hooked up with a meeting, and boom, that's how it all started with Philip.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what year would this be about, would you say?
It's 1977.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was during the time that they were cutting All in All. And
They was doing that, and that movie was out, Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah, Lonely Heart. Yeah, Got to Get You Into My Life.
Got to
Right.
Get You.
So that was late 77, going into 78. And for you guys, just to kind of get a gist of what we're talking about, the time period, just to kind of give you a culture. Saturday Night Fever, I think, had sold 25 million copies during that time. All in All was out. The Bee Gees were that time period, Yvonne Elliman, it was so much going on at that time, man. Now, how did you actually come to the attention of the guys over at Motown, Berry Gordy, or whoever it was that actually got you underneath the umbrella?
Well, Miller London, Jesus Garber, Skip Miller, God rest his soul.
Oh, Jesus Garber was over at Motown at that time?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was one of the guys I remember that was responsible for Barry White going over to A&M later.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But I had no idea that he was on Motown.
Oh, yeah, he was there when I came there, he was there, had been there for quite a while. Really, really great guy, too, that's another one of my friends for life, was Jesus Garber.
Wow.
And Skip Miller, we lost him, and Miller London moved back to Detroit, and he was VP of marketing, they used to come over because they heard about us, and then they said, we're going to steal you guys when you're off this label. So when our contract expired, we went to Motown.
Wow. Would you say the rest is history, or was it still a work in progress?
It's a work
for
in progress. I think, Calvin, that no matter how long you do this, you're always a work in progress, because music is mathematics, and no one masters mathematics.
Right.
Some geniuses do, but how many geniuses do you have in the music business? You know what I mean?
Was there ever a point that you were able to look at your work and says, I think I'm starting to kind of get where we need to go, or, you know what I mean? Like with like the Invitational Love LP, where, because for me, when I look at you guys' career, this is the reason why I ask. I thought, and most people are not up on it, but that Let the Music Play album was the one that really let me know that something's getting ready to happen for these cats. I don't, like for Funkadelic, it was Let's Take It to the Stage, and I'd say, okay, Chocolate City, these guys, but Let the Music Play, when I heard that, I was kind of like, okay. It was a gentleman called Freaky something.
Freaky Lovin'.
Yeah. When I heard that, I was kind of like, okay, everybody's tripping off of Cameo and just different people, but I think these guys are going to kind of elbow their way in, and here comes Keep It Live.
Yeah. It was interesting because that was one of my favorite records, was to Let the Music Play out.
Really?
Well, you know why? Because I'm a horn player, and it's horn heavy, and the lyrics, it was fun, up tempo, and we were balladeers in a lot of senses. We had a lot of ballads, and I love to write ballads, and we love to sing them. But I always felt we weren't going to really ever get our just due until we had an up tempo hit. You know what I mean? Because that's the way the marketplace was. That ballad was always there, but it was elusive at that number 1 or top 10 spot.
It was pretty amazing, too, listening to your ballads, because the first one that I tripped off was Hello Girl, which is on the Invitation
really
Love. Yeah, Hello Girl, man, I'm telling you, man, I got a lot of action because of that.
Is that right?
Hey, man, so I feel you on the ballad side, and then, of course, some of the stuff that will come later on. Now, Let It Whip, when it actually did that hit, was that like late 82, 83?
No, it was actually early. It started around March. Jesus Garber, again, he called me. He just said, Bobby. I said, hey, Jesus. He said, woo-hoo, like that. I said, what's up? He said, man, it's taken over in the South. It's on fire. And it was so funny because it caught on fire so quickly that we used to press, not we, but Motown pressed at record plant. Records, record plant, they had to farm it out to catch up with the demand for the record.
Wow. Where was one of the first markets that really
in the South?
Really?
In the South. It went south, and then it went to, Ohio, Detroit, Pittsburgh area and all that. Because, see, it's funny, there's no knock, because there's two of my favorite places, is New York and California, but, to be the cities and the meccas they're usually the last to catch on to anybody's music for some reason. You know what I mean? The rest of the country catches on, and you finally got L.A., or you finally got New York. It's like the presidential election.
Right.
We're waiting for them to come in and get the results, that kind of thing. You kind of got them last,
That makes sense, though, because Prince's music took off in Detroit like that. The deal, it was Dallas. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Hold that thought for a second. Let's get to some entertainment really quick. This is the Dazz Band Song of the Year in 1982. This is called Let It Whip. And we'll be back with the one and only, the irrepressible Bobby Harris. A few moments.